My name is Han Bing from Tianjin, China. And today I'm so glad to share Бизнес-ТРИЗ in China to all of you. And I come from Tianjin Innovation and Development Institute. And all the speech before are very splendid. Now let's enter into the moment of China. I want to introduce my speech for 4 parts. First, I will briefly introduce Бизнес-ТРИЗ in China and several achievements. And the second one, I will use my own case to illustrate how to use TRIZ to solve business and management problems. And the third one is I will introduce some training system on Бизнес-ТРИЗ in China, but it's not the final version. It is still under discussion. And the last one, I will have a brief summary. Okay, that's my self-introduction. And on this website, there are more details about me. And I'm a TRIZ level 3, and I have 10 years of experience of TRIZ. I'm also Chinese certified TRIZ trainer, TRIZ consultant. And one of my research orientation is also TRIZ in business and management. Okay. Now let's quickly enter into my speech. Okay, as is known, TRIZ is a method to review the law of innovation. As we know, Darwin proposed the laws of the nature evolution in 1860s. And nearly at the same time, Karl Marx proposed the laws of human development. And since then, about 90 years ago, A.T. Schuller proposed the laws of technology innovation. So we can regard that TRIZ is a theoretical system to review the law of technological evolution. But today I want to say TRIZ is not only several tools, several methods, and a process to solving complex problems, but also a breakthrough thinking way. Here I want to quote Valery Suchkov said, what really matters is a new way of breakthrough thinking proposed by TRIZ, okay? And here is the development of Бизнес-ТРИЗ. And yesterday, Valery Suchkov proposed the timeline about the Бизнес-ТРИЗ. So I will simply introduce it. And in 1946, TRIZ was founded, but at that time, it was not called by TRIZ until 1970. And in 1955, the first publications on TRIZ by A.T. Schuller was appeared. Name is Psychology of the Creative and Imaginativity. And the English version was published in the TRIZ Review, this year, okay. And 40 years ago, A.T. Schuller published his major book, Creativity as an Exact Science. And this book was translated into Chinese 3 times. In other words, it has 3 Chinese versions for this book. A big surprise. And what is the first Бизнес-ТРИЗ book? Yes, there remains books. 15 years ago, here's the first books on TRIZ in business and management. And 10 years ago, Valery Suchkov proposed for the solving non-technical problems, and here is the value proposition for Бизнес-ТРИЗ. And 2 years ago, the Бизнес-ТРИZ Association was founded by Anton Kurmiakov in Russia 2 years ago. Okay, that is the progress of Бизнес-ТРИЗ. We can find that the progress can be divided into several aspects. The first one is the tools and the process optimization based on classical TRIZ. And the second one is the development of new tools. In this part, Valery Suchkov and his team had a great contribution in this part. For example, inventive principles that is mostly used to solve business and management problems, and the parameters and the contradiction matrix to adapt to solve business situation, and the inventive standards process for solving non-technical problems, clone program for business model design. And here is an article by Andrew Kurin and Mikhail Rubin 2 years ago, TRIZ Navigator for business models for this one. And there are some new tools for development. But I think research on other TRIZ tools is still in the early stage. Why? Here is an S-curve, right? And in my opinion, TRIZ now is in the transitional stage because the MPV of TRIZ is growing, not only in China, but also all over the world. But where is Бизнес-ТРИЗ? I think it is still in the first stage. Why? Because Бизнес-ТРИZ was began to use in practice from the late 1990s, but after more than 20 years, it is still a slow development of Бизнес-ТРИZ. It's just as a first stage of the S-curve. So just as him, here is a small smart people, we can find it. He has a dream that I'm Бизнес-ТRIZ, I want to develop myself rapidly, I want everyone to like me, I want everyone use me to solve the problem. That is his dream. And I think it's our dream, right? Okay. And here, please let me to introduce several achievements of Chinese Бизнес-ТRIZ. And here are some books. The first one is the Chinese version of the Derriman's books. There are two Chinese versions. The traditional Chinese version was published last year by Professor Daniel Qu from Taiwan, China. He is also the translator. And the simplified Chinese version will be published soon, about at the end of this year. Here are two main translators, Professor Chen Guang and Dr. Zhou Xianyong from Xinan Transport University of China. And here, it is the first Chinese published academic monograph on Бизнес-ТRIZ, and he is the author from Hebei University of Technology, and published 3 years ago. Here's the name, Management Innovation Method on Бизнes-TRIZ. In this book, it is focused on administrative contradiction and give the method of building the matrix and proposing several methods and principles. But in this book, a whole matrix was not given. It just gave me the method, but not given the whole matrix. And this one. This is the first Chinese textbook on Бизнes-TRIZ indeed, and here is the author, Professor Daniel Xu. And here's the name, published 2 years ago. But in this book, the content from more authors, and nearly a half from Valerie, and 15% from the real man, and a quarter from himself. For example, this one, CECCA means cause-effect conflict chain analysis. He added conflict, yeah. And others, the rest from others, for example, pure matrix and other innovation method. Okay. And by the analysis from the articles and the case of Chinese, we can find that several aspects and orientations of research and application. For example, contradiction matrix and parameters, 14 inventive principles, subfield models, arrays, and the process for solving non-technical problems. Okay, here are some articles and surveys from me. But these articles are all in Chinese. Okay, and next one, I will give my second part. I will give you 2 case studies. First one is solution to reconstruction of industry parks in the central urban district based on arrays. And I will illustrate that. In this case, I will use more about the logic and structure of arrays than the algorithm itself. Okay, first is the scenario. So suppose the central urban districts of some cities are in China are insufficient in infrastructure, government revenue, and the looks of the cities and others. So what is industry parks? For example, here is an industry park, yes. I found that the nearest bus station, the name is High-Tech Industry Park, yes. And but the industry park in the central urban districts and in the countryside is quite different. Not only in the system, but also the super system is quite different. And the function is also different. For example, suppose here is an industry park in the central Minsk, near Plaza Lenina, right? But it is different from an industry park near the airport, for example, Great Stone, right? So most of existing administration service patterns are very traditional and do not change their functions in time, which resulting in poor operation of the industry parks. So there are several difficulties of regional development by relying on the industry park, and a reconstruction mode of the industry park should be designed to adapt to the current developed environment. Okay, by the arrays first, we should, we should do the function models. Here are some industry parks, and here's a super system, government and society and others. And next one, we use root cause analysis to find several causes, okay? And next one, we use arrays to solve our problem. And for time limited, I could not introduce the whole step of arrays. I just mentioned several key points. In the first step, analysis of the problem, we should choose the basic engineering contradiction and summarize the mini problem. It is necessary to introduce a next factor that preserves no cost, and anyone can do these things easily with minimal change to the system. And next one, we use a field model for this contradiction. We can find two solutions by inventive standards. And the next one, we can define OT operation time, operation zone, subfield resource, and ideal final results. And by these steps, we can solve several physical contradictions. And next one, we can use subfield resource. Here, we can use smart people. So the problem can be changed as administration small people could not catch the company small people at this one. So here, we can find several solutions. Okay, by the whole process of the arrays, we can find the final solutions. Here are some steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, what. And each step can be derived by the different tools. For example, inventive standards and principles, smart people, and other methods. So the goal of these solutions is the more the data transmit, the less the message run. That is a popular word in China now. Okay, here's the first case. And the second case is the application of 14 inventive principles to Chinese regional development. So here are the first 14 inventive principles. I think all of you are familiar with them. So we can use these principles to solve the problem on regional development directly. I will give several examples. Okay, first one, dynamics. How to use dynamics? Change from immobile to mobile. So here's an example. To develop new forms of agricultural operations, such as the mechanism of rural land circulation. What it means? It means to transfer of the land management right. As we know, an essential for the agriculture, the land are immovable. But we can move the resource, including the land that can't be moved, by carrying out the mechanism of rural land circulation in order to improve the efficiency of the resource utilization. And the second one, color change. Color change, we can use change the transparency of an object of its external environment. Here is also an example. To put in place a comprehensive procedure-based transparent budget system that uses well-conceived standards and impose effective constraint. So now in China, everyone can find that the government budget on their website and other channels. I think it was implemented in Europe, in America, and in South countries for many, many years. But in China, it's just in recent years. Okay, next one. Inert atmosphere. What does inert mean? I think inert, it means stability. So here are two examples. Rural land contracting practice will remain stable and unchanged for a long time. Rural land contracting practice is a policy's name. In this policy has been carried out for nearly 40 years. And it brings many, many benefits to the peasants. So everyone hope that this policy should be unchangeable for a long time. And the second one, China will work to build a framework for major country relations featuring overall stability and balanced development. Nowadays in China, there is a strategy called the Belt and Road Initiative. That means the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. That means this one. And by this initiative, more and more good policies are carried out to promote widely and frequently communication and operation between China and other countries, of course, including Belarus. So this year, China has a good relationship between China and Belarus, and many Chinese people want to visit here, including me. And nowadays, now here, okay. And it is also several industrial parks in Belarus. For example, Greystone, near the Minsk airport, invested by Chinese. Okay, there are some famous Chinese companies such as Huawei and other companies. Okay. And the next one. Next one, I want to share the training system on Business-TRIZ in China. Okay, here are my references for Business-TRIZ training system from TRIZ Body of Knowledge and SAG Symbols, and Business-TRIZ Association, and Matriz, ISIM Business-TRIZ, and Chinese National Standard of the current syllables. Yes. So here are the Chinese business training system. It is not the final version. It's still in the discussion. And here are the level 1, level 2, and the level 3. It is adapted to the current syllables of Chinese technical trees for the time. For level 1, in Chinese, level 1 should use 5 days. It is the same as the technical trees in China. Level 2, level 3 is also. If you have any suggestions, you can contact me anytime. We should complete this one. Okay. So this year, it has a big progress in China for Business-TRIZ. Some special tutorials are public training workshops on Business-TRIZ have been successfully taken place. Very famous is this one. The first ever study-level training workshop on TRIZ on business management by Valery Suchkov was successfully held last June, at this time last year, right? Yes. Here are the group photo, and here's Valery. Here is also a TRIZ master, Yongwei. I'm here. I'm very lucky and. Yeah. Okay, and. By the International TRIZ Conference and the Chinese TRIZ Conference, we also introduced several progress about Business-TRIZ. For example, here I will introduce the application of TRIZ for business management on AI TRIZ Conference last year. And this one, I have a tutorial in Chinese TRIZ Conference last year. The name is about inventive principles in non-technical fields. Here's my host, Professor Daniel Xu, right? Okay, next things we want to do. We can find that there's strong demand that most people want to know how to use TRIZ in business and management. Also in non-technical field is okay. And so, according to the feedback from the trainees, we will add Business-TRIZ in Chinese TRIZ level 1 to level 3. And training system and syllables for Chinese Business-TRIZ will be published and trial operated, I think, in 2 or 3 years. We also discussed this one. Now we are preparing the Business-TRIZ workshop and planning to set up level 1 and level 2 workshop in recent years. Okay. Okay. Anytime? Okay. Let's into the quick summary. I will finish my speech on time. Okay, the summary. Now, as we know, there are no limitations to the possible applications of TRIZ, and TRIZ can be combined with other methods to solve the problem in non-technical TRIZ, such as Six Sigma, lean production, QFD, and 5S, and other methods. In China, it's all called innovation method, including TRIZ. And nowadays, more attention will be paid to business TRIZ in China. Now there are the world's largest TRIZ enthusiasts in China, and there are also many enthusiasts keen on business TRIZ, just as me. Now in China, there is a popular word said, mass entrepreneurship, mass innovation by Premier League. And so the upsurge of the innovation in China is on the rise. So I believe that the prosperity of business TRIZ will be coming soon. Okay, that is my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Спасибо за внимание. Any questions?
Thank you, Hanbin. Доклад открыт для дискуссии. Пожалуйста, вопросы.
Mr. Biang, thank you very much. Your presentation was excellent. At least now we know what's going on in a beautiful and really big China.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. I have two questions, in fact. The first question is about the book you mentioned, about of contradiction, administrative contradiction matrix. But administrative contradiction is not a contradiction in a true sense.
Yeah.
It's just a statement of something doesn't satisfy us. That's it.
Yeah.
There are no contradicting parameters.
Yes, yes.
How could there be a matrix? It's my first question.
Yes.
And the second question, when you showed the... And the second question will be with your slide on all the three levels.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, but my assumption is that not all TRIZ tools which work well for technical TRIZ
Yes.
work well for business TRIZ. And some of them I saw in your table. So my question is, what's your answer to this?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I will answer your questions. The first one, administrative contradiction is the name. It's just the name for these contradictions. Just the name. He do the parameters just as the frame of technical contradictions. Just the frame. By this frame. And the parameters is also by this frame. This is just a name to express the type of contradictions. It also just as the technical contradictions, but it possesses the other meanings of, for example, the management, seller, and logistics, and other things. This is the first question. And the second question, I will quickly. Okay, in this one, level 1 and level 2, we should more attention to business TRIZ. But in level 3, there are several, what?
Thank you. If you look at level 2, 5 days, you've got scientific effects. How do you apply scientific effects for business?
We just to introduce the knowledge. Now we just introduce the knowledge to adapt to let help the trainees to get a certificate. Because in the current syllabus, it is a knowledge to show them. And level 3, we just more about technical TRIZ to added some cases for business TRIZ. Thank you.
Еще вопросы? Пожалуйста, вот там.
Sorry.
One more question about this TRIZ training that Siri provided. TRIZ training. More or less 4 questions. How big is this training? Who is the target of this training? Who provides this training? And how or how are involved university education system in this, or is it involved, or how is it involved?
Okay, thank you. The first one, nowadays they are not very big, but there is a strong demand because the trainees who take part in the technical TRIZ, he often think that, is it can be used to solve business TRIZ, even non-technical TRIZ, not only business in management, and non-technical, for example, daily life and other things, other fields. And this is the first question. And the second question, now in China, there are very few trainers for business TRIZ. More and more Chinese TRIZ trainers have the workshop about technical TRIZ, but special business TRIZ are very few. But we should add some special workshop for business TRIZ. Of course, at this workshop, we should let the trainees should have the basis of at least the level TRIZ level 1. And what is the third question?
About the involvement of universities.
Universities?
Yeah. University education, if you educate people to learn TRIZ, it would be very interesting to do this already in the university education, or maybe it is too early to ask such a question.
Okay, thank you. Nowadays, as far as I know, China has no more than 5 universities to teach business TRIZ. Very, very few. And the teacher in each university, it just have 1 or 2 TRIZ teachers. So in China, I have a calculation, no more than 20 people to have a research, training, and to do these things about the business TRIZ. All in technical TRIZ and more. Okay. Thank you.
Еще вопросы? Если нету, спасибо.
Okay, спасибо.